Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Keeping Karlsson Matchup Maximizer. I'm Jeremy Versillo, and I'm going to be taking you through all of the schedule quirks and matchups of Yahoo Week 25, the championship week for the Cupful and many other fantasy hockey leagues. This is a big one with a pretty robust schedule that will allow for plenty of streaming and manipulation, so get buckled in. I think I've got a lot planned for you guys, and I'm pretty excited. Real quick, if you hear any background noise, unfortunately I'm doing laundry while I record this, so you may hear a bit of a hum from my dryer in the background. Not much I can do about that. You guys gotta do what you guys gotta do. As I mentioned, this week is what I consider a high parity schedule week. Saturday is the only quote-unquote busy day with 22 games, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so 4 different days, have either 16 or 18 games, which, depending on your lineup construction, may be a busy day for you, even if it isn't for everyone. So I implore you to set your roster for next week, check what openings you have, and find a team that fits that particular schedule. There's a lot of variety in the 4-game week schedules this week. There's some Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, some Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, stuff like that. So, in my opinion, fitting a guy into your roster for 4 days is worth more than getting my favorite streamer that happens to not fit your particular lineup construction. That being said, with this week, I'm kind of prioritizing teams that play earlier in the week, specifically teams that play 4 games and don't play on Sunday, because depending on how many moves you have in your league and how many moves you're able to use this week to prepare, you can always get that one extra game on Sunday or, drop a guy Friday for a Friday-Sunday stream to replace your Saturday and kind of build up that games played. If you start targeting guys that play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you don't even have that option at the end of the week to drop the guy and gain another game played. Another thing to note, that being championship week, in a lot of leagues, you aren't going to have really any competition for picking up streamers. I know in the Cupful, there'll be a championship game, a third place game, and a consolation final, which is all well and good, but that's still 6 or maybe even 8 teams as opposed to the normal 14 considering making ads. A number of leagues I'm in don't even do a consolation bracket, so there are just 2 teams trying to pick up these streamers. It enables you to wait a little bit longer to make your ads and maybe get some more information because, worst case, your backup ad will still be available, or maybe you can rely a bit more on random off-night goalie starts. Like, for example, this past week, Allen and Levi were both available in one of my leagues on Friday, and when they took the ice at 3:30 that day, I could have picked either one of them up, and that's kind of unusual in a regular week with everybody playing for the win and all 14 teams streaming hard. So you can kind of exercise a bit more patience this week and wait and see what happens with the line combinations, or if there's guys who are day-to-day, sneak in and grab their replacement. Some teams to consider dropping players from as you start this week. Any team with 3 games, you can drop a guy from if you're not getting their 3rd game, like if you've got a full lineup one of the days. Obviously, this only applies to, bottom half or streamer level players. I'd definitely consider dropping your Coyotes as they play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 2 of those games being against Vancouver and Vegas. Carolina doesn't play their first game of the week until Thursday, although their Friday, Sunday games are Washington and Columbus, which is kind of nice. Vegas only plays twice, on Tuesday and Friday, so your Vegas guys are kind of hard to hold, like your Chandler Stevensons or your William Karlssons, kind of the guys that you don't need to hold. Obviously, you're holding Jack Eichel, and you're probably holding Logan Thompson with Aiden Hill hurt. Jonathan Marchessault you hold. Anybody else you can kind of cut free, or at the very least, their last game's Friday, so drop them for a Saturday-Sunday streamer. Also, you can kind of look at goalies to consider dropping. Ottinger gets Edmonton on Wednesday, but then only 1 start the rest of the week. Allen only gets 2 starts despite getting 4 games. Urson only gets 2 starts and has been pretty bad anyway, so I don't know if I'd be keeping him for that Monday start. DeSmith will only get 2 starts. Swayman and Kochetkov are probably only getting 1 based on the rotation. There's a chance that the Carolina rotation breaks as they haven't confirmed a goalie for today yet. But if I'm only getting 1 start from a goalie, I definitely am not holding him for an entire week, especially a week where streamer goalies are going to be widely available. Let's get on to some teams and some streamers. I'm going to go through 8 different teams here just to give you a wide swath of the scheduling options. First up, the Edmonton Oilers have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday schedule. Again, kind of avoiding those Sunday games and getting some of the Wednesday, Friday off nights this week. They do play some pretty good opponents, which isn't great, but Adam Henrique and Warren Foegele are widely available and playing with Leon Draisaitl for now. You know, Edmonton always changes their lines constantly. Evander Kane is available in about 10% of Cupful leagues, I think. His deployment's been down. He's not on power play 1 anymore. He hasn't been playing with McDavid or with Dry or even with Nugent Hopkins, but he's still shooting and hitting. And with the instability of their lines, it's worth a shot. Definitely if you see him up on that top 6. But even not on the top 6, there's a good chance he ends up there for stretches of games, even if he doesn't start there. None of those guys are like super strong streamers, but I know people like to flock to the Edmonton games because of the chance that their player plays with McDavid for 15 minutes in a night. That almost guarantees you a point, I feel like. Don't double check me on that. I'm pretty sure that does not hold up if you actually look at the data. Another team to look at, the Florida Panthers play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, including a Tuesday game against Montreal and a Thursday game against Ottawa, which are pretty good opponents if you're looking to get some goals. All these games are on the road. Not sure if that really makes a difference. I know the Panthers have shuffled up their lines a few times lately, but Vladimir Tarasenko is 77% owned in Cupful. He's been down on the 3rd line, but then he was also up on the 1st line for a bit. I kind of just trust the talent and the fact that they want to make their trade acquisition look good. He's been shooting a bit more since recently, even though he started pretty cold after he was first traded. I just kind of like Tarasenko as a player and call it a bit of a hunch more than anything advanced to back this up. I'd be perfectly happy to stream Tarasenko in and hope that the points start to roll in. Another option is Anthony Stolarz, who will at least get probably the Tuesday start, but if you have slots both Monday and Tuesday, add him and take 1 start, and then you can add a guy who will start 3 or 4 times the rest of the week behind that. If I have extra moves the prior week, I do like stacking my goalie starts on Monday and Tuesday, and then adding streamers with my moves for the following week. Evan Rodriguez is also 26% owned. I'm kind of cool on him now, especially now that they've added Tarasenko and they're giving Nick Cousins some more ice time and Sam Bennett is not injured. If you remember, early in the season, Rodriguez was really hot, but Sam Bennett was one of the players out for Florida, left a lot more ice time, especially on the power play, that Rodriguez could take up. So right now, I guess Tarasenko would be my favorite streamer of the week, although I believe I'm going to find some better ones, looking at the upcoming teams being teams that often have a lot of top 6 talent available on waivers. Next up, the Los Angeles Kings. I did notice when looking at the Cupful free agency that Cam Talbot, Quinton Byfield, and Trevor Moore are available in a handful of leagues, so make sure you check on them first. Those would be slam dunk ads, especially with a good schedule. They would have been ads without a good schedule, like earlier in the season if you were looking for long-term holds. Definitely look for them. The guy that intrigues me as a streamer, though, is Victor Arvidsson. Only 87% owned, fresh back from injury for the 2nd time this season. He's back to his old ways, averaging, 3 shots a game over the season. He's been playing, it looks like on Power Play 1 most of the time based on the game logs. He hits some, he blocks some. I would be very happy to add Victor Arvidsson to my team for next week. And I actually may be looking to do that later today in my Tier 2 San Jose. I just have to make sure that my lead is safe enough to feel comfortable doing that. Phil Deneau and Pierre-Luc Dubois have both been relatively good lately and are 70 and 66% owned, respectively. Definitely a full step below Arvidsson as far as streamer capability, but they're decent ads if you're just looking for someone to fill the lineup. They're also both centers, so you may or may not have flexibility there. Center is usually the hardest position to stream from just because many people roster 4 or even 5 centers on their team to begin with. One more curious case in LA, this one on the defensive side. Matt Roy has been a blocks machine most of the time lately. In his last 10 games, he has 2 7-block games, 2 6-block games, and a 5-block game. But he also has 3 0-block games. That's kind of weird. Looking at the opponents, the 0-block games came against Vancouver and Dallas, so it's not necessarily a opponent quality thing. I would fully expect him to have 0 blocks against Anaheim or San Jose, just because those teams don't have the puck on offense enough. Either way, he had some hits on top of it, a couple shots. He only has 2 points in his last 10, but it was a bit hotter in the month or so before that. Matt Roy's a good option if you have room on defense for a streamer. Just a nice safe peripheral floor, a little bit of upside maybe. Let me check who his opponents are. Los Angeles plays Winnipeg, Seattle, San Jose, and Vancouver. So at least that middle series against Seattle and San Jose should be pretty good for both the defensive and offensive players on Los Angeles. Then you can maybe consider dropping for a Friday-Sunday streamer if there's anyone that catches your eye, like Carolina playing Washington and Columbus, or Buffalo playing Philly and Detroit. That's some nice gaming, the games played there. You could get 5 games and some really good matchups from one roster slot. On to my next team, and this is one of the ones that I have the most interest in. The New York Islanders play 4 games, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But even better, their Monday, Tuesday, Thursday games are against Philly, Chicago, and Columbus. They could be putting in a lot of goals in those matchups, and players who are on their top 6 and Power Play 1 are available. Kyle Palmieri is only 62% owned, Anders Lee is only 38% owned, and on defense, Ryan Pulak's been doing a lot lately. I'm not sure that's sustainable, but he's 45% owned. Palmieri is the obvious top choice out of those. He's been playing on the top line, he's been on Power Play 1, he's been shooting 3 times a game. He also gets a lot of shorthanded time, which is always a chance for a shorthanded point, which is absolute gold in most fantasy formats. Anders Lee has at least been playing with Matt Barzal, although he's not on Power Play 1 anymore, or hasn't been all season really. Ryan Pulak just has kind of had a bit of a hot stretch lately. He has 3 points in his last 4 games. He's been blocking 2 to 3 times a game. He's been shooting some. I'd take Matt Roy over Ryan Pulak if you're looking for a floor defender, but the 2 forwards, Kyle Palmieri is up there with Victor Arvidsson as one of my favorite streamers of the week. Additionally, you probably won't hear this before the Saturday games, so that doesn't work, but Semyon Varlamov is starting on Saturday and will start again probably on Tuesday. I added him for that game just to give myself some points this week and prep a little early for next week. You could kind of target Varlamov as just a goalie for Monday or Tuesday next week also, if you wish. Either way, he's either getting Philly or Chicago. That's a pretty good matchup to line him up for. Next team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but their opponents aren't great. They get the Rangers, the Devils, the Caps, and Tampa. The Devils and the Caps could be okay matchups, although Jake Allen has really stabilized the Devils' goaltending. I guess Tampa's kind of fighting for a playoff spot too. I don't really want to run out Pittsburgh's seemingly anemic offense into some of those goalies, though. I guess if you're doing that, though, Michael Bunting is 79% owned in Cupful, so there's a chance you could add him. He's actually looked pretty good since being traded to Pittsburgh. He's been getting better deployment than he was in Carolina. Also, Jerry is 89% owned, and Nedeljkovic is 49% owned. I think Ned's had more starts lately. If you really want to play that game, you could add one or both of them. That is a game I don't want to play, nor do I want to even add either of them for the Monday-Tuesday New York or New Jersey matchup. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. The next team I've got for you is the only 3-game team I have on this list right now, And it's the Seattle Kraken who play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So what you could do is stream a Kraken player for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday morning drop them for a Saturday, Sunday streamer. Specifically, I was looking at pairing the Kraken with the St. Louis Blues, because the Kraken get San Jose, LA, and Anaheim Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the Blues get San Jose and Anaheim Saturday and Sunday, kind of really picking on those Western Conference opponents. But if you're going to go for an early week stream for the Kraken, Eeli Tolvanen is 79% owned and has been playing on the top line with Beniers and Eberle. He's been pretty good lately. Oliver Bjorkstrand's 77% owned, but has been kind of cold. Eberle's 62% owned, again on that top line, and doing decent things lately. The goalie split, Gruby 53% owned, Decord 79% owned. Honestly, I can't really guess who they're going to throw out in goal any night. You'd have to wait until the day of, and even then you can't guarantee they're going to get the next start. Probably avoiding those goalies, although you could do much worse than a start against San Jose to start your week. Another guy I want to point out, this would be my super deep streamer of the week if you're in a league that's deeper than Cacupful. Jaden Schwartz is only owned in 6% of Cacupful leagues. He's pretty widely available on Yahoo too. He's been on and off injured, which is probably why he's languishing on waivers in some places, but since coming back, he's been pretty good. In 5 games since returning from his last injury, he has 2 goals, an assist, 11 shots, 2 power play points, couple hits, couple blocks. He's been getting like 17 minutes a night and decent amount of power play time. It looks like he's on their power play 2, but the Kraken change that up pretty often. I think that he's a nice sleeper pickup in some of your deeper leagues because he's one of those guys that produces when he's healthy. You just can't rely on him for more than like 60, 65 games a year. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this next team, mostly because of the 2 sparsely available players, meaning only available in 1 or 2 Cacupful leagues, but maybe more available in less competitive leagues. Brandon Hagel and Anthony Duclair are those 2. I'd be adding either of those as quickly as possible. Nick Paul is also available in a lot of leagues. He is 40% owned in Cacupful and has been back on Power Play 1 recently, but not in the top 6. I probably wouldn't be taking Paul over some of the guys we mentioned earlier, but he's a decent option if you have a hunch there or are a Tampa Bay fan or see a lineup change that all of a sudden puts him back in the top 6. One team that does play on Sunday that may be worth streaming from is the Washington Capitals. They've got Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. They've got Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Ottawa matchups, which are all teams that you could expect them to score some goals on. Strome is available in a handful of leagues. He'd be an ad just as good as Arvidsson or Palmieri. Tom Wilson is available in a handful of leagues, but he is suspended for Tuesday's game. But he could be a nice ad for Thursday, Saturday, Sunday if you just wait until Thursday to make that ad. Say you stream a guy Monday, Wednesday, and then add him. Oshie is only 60% owned and is not suspended. I actually like Oshie over Wilson to begin with, even if they were both playing 4 games. So maybe hold on Wilson. I guess the one saving grace with Wilson is, for some reason, he's listed as out on Yahoo and not suspended. Always trust Yahoo to mess things up and confuse everyone. But that means he's eligible for your IR Plus if you don't want to drop anyone this week and can add him ahead of time straight to IR, and then drop someone after their games to get Wilson's games at the end of the week. With that, we're 20 minutes into this show, so let's take a quick ad break, and then I've got some more interesting streaming options you can do strategy-wise to finish off the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, I promised you some more unusual streaming strategies on this second half. So how about a one-day stream? The Colorado Avalanche play Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. But their Monday game is against Columbus, who's a team that I would seriously consider adding a guy just for one game against. Specifically, Arturi Lekkonen's been dropped in a few places and is only 85% owned. And Casey Middlestat, who took Nichushkin's Power Play 1 slot with the injury, is 70% owned. Either of those guys could be in for a big game against Columbus, and then you drop them for someone on Washington, say, for Tuesday through Sunday getting 4 games. I also already mentioned the idea of pairing Seattle with St. Louis, adding Tolvanen, getting 3 games out of him and then dropping for, say, Jake Neighbors or one of the Blues players. Other teams you should look out for later in the week to kind of pair with your early start stacking. The Flyers play Buffalo and Columbus on Friday and Saturday, so you could even get like a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday guy, swap him out for a Friday, Saturday Flyers guy, and then take a desperation goalie stream on Sunday, as there's a lot of teams playing on the back-to-back, and there should be some good goalies available to you on Sunday if you don't have any starters. Another potential late week add, if the pattern continues for Carolina, Freddie Anderson would be in line for Thursday, Sunday. A Thursday morning ad to gain you 2 goalie starts is pretty good, pretty powerful. I mentioned St. Louis already playing San Jose and Anaheim at the end of the week. Other guys to keep an eye on, Arturs Silovs is the backup goalie for Vancouver right now, who's a pretty good team. There's a chance that he gets Sunday's game. The coach has been kind of wishy-washy about it, but admits that he needs to get Arturs a game or 2. Additionally, Vancouver plays Tuesday, Wednesday next week, so there's a chance you could get Sunday's game and next Wednesday against Arizona, because I believe it's confirmed that he will play the Wednesday game of that back-to-back. Just a question of whether DeSmith or Silovs starts Sunday. But that's kind of a nice hedge your bet, get a couple extra points this week, and also pick up a guy who's a early week streamer for next week. 2 other goalies to keep an eye on. Because New Jersey plays 4 games in the style of 2 back-to-backs, Kaapo Kähkönen will get 2 starts in addition to Jake Allen. If you want to predict that Allen gets the front half of the back-to-backs, that would give Kähkönen New York Rangers on Wednesday and Nashville on Sunday. I'm not loving the matchups, nor do I think it's a safe assumption that he will get the second game of both those back-to-backs. I don't think Allen is this untouchable main starter at this point, but you could look at adding him if you just want 2 starts from a backup goalie, especially if you can wait until Wednesday to add him. On that note, Jake Allen's a great add also. He's been really good lately. I actually really like what he's done in New Jersey and kind of trust him to put up good numbers even when facing high-volume shots. And one more goalie. I saw today in Twitter that Winnipeg plans on planning a couple starts for backup goalie Laurent Brossoit. I don't know if that means they're going to alternate to give Hellebuck some rest, or if it's just certain opponents. They only play 3 times next week, so I kind of doubt he gets 2 of them. But maybe they're targeting like the Thursday Calgary start. If for some reason he does get Monday, that's definitely worth adding and maybe speculating on later in the week. I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of don't. Your call there, but definitely something I wish he gave more information on than we're planning on a couple of starts. I have no clue what that means. Alright, I think I kind of mentioned already, but if I'm going to pick my streamers of the week, I would want Victor Arvidsson on LA for Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday games against Winnipeg, Seattle, San Jose, and Vancouver. Just like the deployment and the talent he's gotten, and being a recently injured guy, I think he's under-owned. As people kind of were in desperation mode for previous weeks, he may have just slipped through the cracks in leagues and should not be even slightly available like he is. Kyle Palmieri is another one. I'm thinking Palmieri just got dropped this week with the crappy semifinal schedule. The Islanders get Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday against Philly, Chicago, Columbus, and Nashville. Those are some of the best matchups you're going to get, especially those first 3. And Palmieri is playing even strength power play and shorthanded. Finally, Eeli Tolvanen on Seattle will get you the Monday, Wednesday, Friday games against San Jose, LA, and Anaheim, but then you'll have to rotate him out for a Saturday, Sunday streamer. That does give you a bit of flexibility, maybe your goalies don't start Saturday, so you could add a Saturday goalie and a Sunday goalie instead of a back-to-back streamer. Really depends on your league. If you're not making moves till Monday and you only have 4 moves per week, maybe that's not the best use of your moves, but if you're able to load up early, it's a much better decision to grab a Seattle player and then be ready for the Saturday, Sunday starts. Normally, this is where I'd give you your Sunday savior. This is kind of a boring segment this week with only 1 game tomorrow, the Vancouver Canucks and the Anaheim Ducks. I will say if Arturs Silovs starts for Vancouver, I would be absolutely taking him. I think there's a high probability of a win. Even if it's not many shots, he could get you 6, 8, 10 points if Vancouver just takes care of business against Anaheim. If that's not an option, I'd be looking at Dakota Joshua and Pius Suter. Joshua has been playing on line 1 since he returned from injury, and because he just returned from injury, he may not be widely owned. Secondly, Pius Suter is currently filling on power play 1 for Elias Lindholm, who apparently did not skate with the main group today, which leads me to believe he won't play tomorrow and nothing changes in that lineup. I don't really think Suter's like a power play genius or anything, but if he's playing with all those good players, probably playing the bumper net front type position, could do a lot worse. With that, that's all I've got time for. Good luck in your semifinals today, as most of them are going to be decided today, and tomorrow if needed, and best of luck in championship week, unless you're playing against me.